And what are your relations with the corporations?
They have come in and completely changed our lives. In order to survive in their world, we have to conform to their needs and wants. If we don't change, then we will fall victim. You are either against them or you are with them.
And sir, how has globalization affected your community?
The influence of foreign companies have come into my community and disrupted my way of life. They have been changing our culture and changing the way we are living. Yes, we are being able to make money, but it is not enough to greatly change the way we live.
So, Mr. Historian, what is the best thing about globalization?
There are many benefits about globalization, but in order to grasp what globalization fully is, I need to tell you a bunch of them. Now that globalization has been occurring, there is a worldwide market for companies, and for people there is more access to the products from different companies. Also, for developing countries, there is a steady cash flow, which will gradually decrease the dollar difference. Good.
But Mr. Historian, doesn't this take jobs away from Americans by exporting services?
Yes, but since the production costs are lower, the cost to purchase the goods will be less, therefore equalizing the money flow. What do you think the major effect is of globalization on people in developing countries?
The exploitation of labor, not just men, but also women and child workers are working in inhuman conditions. Foreign companies force them to work many hours a day and given low wages. Safety standards were also ignored by the government in order to produce cheap goods.
Do you think that free trade can help lead people out of poverty?
No. Fair trade is what can lead people out of poverty. For example, when there is an overproduction and subsidy in the developed nation, these products will usually pour into the third world country, destroy local markets, leaving the farmer out of business and become poor.
What was your experience in a globalized urban environment?
I experienced many positive things. There was a rapid change in our community. I saw many buildings, roads, and infrastructure quickly built. People having a better lifestyle. They're having enough food to eat and a decent place to stay. Even more, there's a big spread of education. People have more access to modern technology.
How did globalization affect your life?
Globalization led me to a better life. Thanks to globalization, I have a permanent job and a place to stay. Even though I have to work more hours, but I'm okay with it, because it's better than not having a job and live on the street.
What are you, as a person against globalization, trying to do?
Well, many anti-globalization activists generally call for forms of global integration that better provide democratic representation, advancement of human rights, fair trade, and sustainable development.
What is your biggest concern about globalization?
Well, globalization really exploits child labor. For example, a country that experiences increases in labor demand because of globalization and an increase in demand of goods produced by children will experience a greater demand for child labor, thus exploiting it.
How has globalization helped you?
Well, about 20 years ago I started my own insurance company. 10 years later, our annual revenue is about $40 million. We're an international company and we work in Asia, North America, South America, and Africa. Without it, I'd still be a farmer today.
Aren't you concerned about the future of the world?
Well, not really. Corporations of today's age follow the EPA's standard of living very well. They recycle, and we help the community a lot.
Why do you believe globalization has had a negative effect on your life?
Well, before our country decided to globalize, I lived my life peacefully. There were no worries and rarely any problems. Everyone worked together and helped the community at hand. However, globalization was forced upon us. It basically told us that we could globalize and become a strong community, or not globalize at all and suffer. Globalization took our resources, and it seemed like the big-name countries, like the U.S., benefited more than we did. Before globalization, I enjoyed living in a rural community. If I had the power, I would never have chosen to globalize.
What is your main problem with globalization?
My main problem with globalization is labor. I am pretty much forced to work because there are no other jobs that are available. I work in a factory all day with dangerous equipment and polluted air. I work a 15-hour day and I'm only paid 20 cents. I barely have enough money to support my family. Then, what gets me mad too, is all the stuff that I make ends up in the U.S. being sold for triple, and they end up profiting and enjoying themselves, while I sit here working all day and making barely any money.
Go. How has globalization affected you?
Well, before my country decided to make steps toward globalization, I was very poor and without a job. When large companies came into my country and started making factories, I was given a job and also an opportunity to make some money. Though the work was long and tiring, I started to save up my money and was eventually able to buy my own plot of land. I grew and sold my crops and kept saving up my money. Eventually, after a few years and some hard work, I was able to buy a factory on my own land. The factory expanded as time went on, and I became more and more successful. Today, I am a very wealthy man, and I owe it all to the fact that globalization gave me an opportunity. It provided me with a job and a new lifestyle. Without globalization, I would not be where I am today.
Some people believe globalization is a bad thing for the world. What do you think, what do you say to these people?
Well, I'll tell them that just look at my situation. My country and I were very poor, and most people did not have jobs. Globalization provided us with a place to work and a place to earn some money. Today, because of globalization, most people are enjoying their lives. We have industrialized and modernized into a successful and growing country. Our market is strong, and we are continuing to expand and share our ideas with other countries. Globalization has allowed us to learn things that successful countries have done in the past and expand on those same ideas. Love it.
The WTO is supposed to be sort of a United Nations of commerce, the conglomeration of all these countries in the world that get together every now and then to discuss trade policies and how exactly goods will be bought and sold throughout the world. Well, I'm sure originally the stated purpose of the WTO was to help these countries who are developing, so that the world community can help raise them out of poverty. In fact, what it's done is it's allowed large corporations to go in and exploit these people even further, so that Americans become even wealthier, and the people in these countries continue to struggle to get by. And I think that's, at this point, it's upset quite a few people.